I don't know what word that is. Wait. I don't know what these words are supposed to be.
Wogies, do it however you think it sounds. Forcing you to do
What
it,
word
but
was
I
that
am.
originally? What's
Want
the
to get the normal?
W? I'm just gonna start here. The history of all
Stop talking, Summer. Stop talking.
existing society is the history of class struggles. Freeman and slave, politician and plebeian, world and self-guided master and journeyman in a world oppressor and oppressed.
Why did I have this
Stood
bookmarked?
in constant opposition to own another carried on an uninterrupted, now hidden, now open fight. A fight that each time ended either in a revolutionary reconstitution of society at which in the common ruin of the contending classes in every epochs of history we find almost everywhere a complicated arrangement of society into various modules, a manifold gradation of social rank. In ancient Rome, we have politicians, knights, plebeians, slaves. In the Middle Ages, feudal lords, vassals, guide masters, journeymen. Oh, wait, does it just. It just repeats. It repeats. Vassals, guide masters, journeymen, apprentices, serfs, in almost all of these classes against subordinate gradations. The modern society that has sprouted from the ruins of feudal society has not done away with class antagonisms. It has but established new classes, new conditions of oppression, new forms of struggle in place of the old ones. Oh, the apostrophe possesses, however, this distinct feature. It has simplified class antagonism. It just repeats again. Society as a whole is more and more splitting up into two great hostile camps, into two great classes directly facing each other. Both and poets and poets from the serfs of the Middle Ages sprang the chartered of the earliest towns. From these produces the first elements of the bird we've developed the discovery of America. The wounding of the Cape opened up fresh ground for the rising I can't say this word. The East Indian and Chinese markets, the colonization of America, trade with the colonies, the increase in the means of exchange and commodities generally gave to commerce, to navigation, to industry, an impulse never before known, and thereby to the revolutionary element in the tutelary feudal society, a rapid development, the feudal system of industry, in which industrial production was monopolized by closed guides now no longer sufficed from the growing wants of the new markets. The manufacturing system took its place. The guide masters we pushed on on one side by the class division of rainbow between the different corporate guides vanished in the face of division of Welbo in each single workshop. Meantime, the markets kept ever growing, the demand ever rising. Even manufacture no longer sufficed. Thereupon steam and machinery we revolutionized industrial production. The place of manufacture was taken by the giant modern industry. The place of the industrial middle class by industrial millionaires, the widows of the whole industrial armies, the modern modern industry has established the world market for which the discovery of America paved the way. This market has given an immense development to commerce, to navigation, to communication by land. This development has, in its turn, reacted on the extension of industry and improperation as industry commenced, navigation railways extended in the same proportion. The bourgeois developed, increased its capital, and pushed into the background every class handed down from the Middle Ages. God, there's so much. We see, therefore, how the modern bourgeois is itself the product of long course of development, of a series of revolutions in the modes of production and of exchange. Each step in the development of the bourgeois was accompanied by a corresponding political advance of that class, and oppressed class under the sway of the feudal nobility, an armed and self-governing association in the medieval commune. Here, independent urban republic, as in Italy and Germany, their the third estate of the monarchy, as in France. Afterwards, in a period of manufacturing, serving either the semi-feudal or the absolute monarchy as a counterpoise against the nobility, and in fact cornerstone of the great monarchies in general, the bourgeois has at last, since the establishment of modern industry and of the world market, conquered for itself in the modern weapon-sensitive state exclusive. I can hear myself.
Still reading it. Are you still reading it?
Political sway. The executive of the modern state is but a committee for managing the common affairs of the whole bourgeoisie. Bourgeoisie historically has played a most revolutionary part. The bourgeoisie, wherever it has got the upper hand, has put an end to all feudal
Birds work for the bourgeoisie.
patriarchy. I'd relations. It has been with sweet town asunder Matwi feudal ties that bound man to woo his natural superiors, and has left remaining no other nexus between man and man that naked self-interest that kills cash payment. It has drowned the most heavenly ecstasies of religious fervor, of chivalrous enthusiasm, of Philistine sentimentalism, in the icy water of egoistical calculation. It has restored personal wealth into exchange value, and in place of the numberless indefeasible childhood freedoms, has set up that single unconcernable freedom, free trade in own world for exploitation, viewed by religious and political illusions. It has substituted naked, shameless, direct, brutal exploitation. The bourgeoisie has stripped of its halo every occupation hitherto honored and looked up to with reverent awe. It has converted the physician, the warrior, the priest, the poet, the man of science into its paid wage werewolves. I don't know what that word is. The bourgeoisie has torn away from the family its sentimental view and has reduced the family relation to a mere money relation. The bourgeoisie has disclosed how it came to pass that the brutal display of vigorous in the Middle Ages, which reactionaries so much admit, found its fitting complement in the most southful indolence. It has been the first to show what man's activity can bring about. It has accomplished wonders while surpassing Egyptian pyramids, woman aqueducts, and Gothic cathedrals. It has conducted expeditions that put the shade of foreign exoduses of nations and crusades. The bourgeoisie cannot exist without constantly revolutionizing the instruments of production and thereby the relations of production, and with them the whole relations of society. Conservation of the old modes of production in unordered form was, on the contrary, the first condition of existence for all area industries classes. Constant revolutionizing of production, uninterrupted disturbance of all social conditions, everlasting uncertainty and agitation distinguished the bourgeoisie apart from all earlier ones, all fixed, fast frozen relations with their train of ancient and venerable prejudices and opinions are swept away. All new formed ones become antiquated before they can ossify. All that is solid mutes into air. All that is how is profaned, and man is at last compelled to face with sober senses his real conditions of life and his relations with his kind. There's so much. The need of a constantly expanding market for its... You don't understand how much is left.
Hey, Summer, you still have less.
Just...
You have a lot more than halfway down. Well, you have a lot
I
less than
understand.
halfway down. I know. I'm following
The
you
need
right now.
of constantly expanding market for its productions chases the bourgeoisie over the entire surface of the globe. It must nestle everywhere, settle everywhere, establish connections everywhere. The bourgeoisie has sole exploitation of the world market, given a cosmopolitan character to production and consumption in every country. To the great judgment of reactionists, it has drawn from undue defeat of industry the national ground on which it stood. All established national industries have been destroyed or are daily being destroyed. They are dislodged by new industries whose introduction becomes a life and death question for all civilized nations by industries that no longer work up indigenous raw material, but raw material drawn from the limited zones, industries whose products are consumed not only at home but in every quarter of the globe. In place of the old ones satisfied by the production of the country, we found new ones, we requiring for their satisfaction the products of distant ones and crime. I hope you know I'm going to read this whole thing. In place of the
Have fun.
old local and national seclusion and self-sufficiency, we have intercourse in every direction, universal interdependence of nations, and as in material, so also the intellectual production. The intellectual creation of individual nations become common property. National one-sidedness and narrow-mindedness become more and more impossible, and from the numerous national and local rituals, the view arise a world ritual. The bourgeoisie, by the rapid improvement of all instruments of production, by the immensely fascinated means of communication draws all, even the most barbarian nations, into civilization. The cheap prices of commodities are... How much am I cutting out? Of course. Commodities are the heavy artillery with which it battles down all Chinese walls, with which it forces the barbarians' intensity, obstinate hatred of foreigners to capitulate. It compels all nations, on pain of extinction, to adopt the bourgeois bourgeois mode of production. It compels them to introduce what it calls civilization into their midst, to become bourgeois themselves in own world. It creates a world after its own image. The bourgeoisie has subjected the country to its whirl of towns. It has created enormous cities, has greatly increased the urban population as compared with the rural, and that has thus rescued a considerable part of the population from the idiocy of it's just it's just WUWAW. Wife, just as it has made the country dependent on the towns, So it has made barbarian and semi-barbarian countries depend on the civilized ones. Nations of peasants own nations of bourgeois. The East own the West. The bourgeoisie keeps more and more doing away with the scattered state of the population, of the means of production, and of property. It has agglomerated population, centralized the means of production, and has concentrated property in a few hands. The necessary consequence of this was political centralization. Independent, but loosely connected provinces with separate interests, laws, governments, and systems of taxation become lumped together into one nation with one government, one code of laws, one national class interest, one frontier, and one customs tariff. The bourgeoisie, doing its will of scarce 100 years, has created more massive and more colossally productive forces than have all preceding generations together. Subjection of nature's forces to man, machinery, application of chemistry, tool industry and agriculture, steam navigation, railways, electric telegraphs. I've read this before. Creating of whole continents for cultivation, colonization of reviews whose population conjured out of the ground. What earlier century has even a presentiment that such productive forces submerged in the lap of social well. How many people are still listening to me? That's it. You don't understand how much left. Who generated in feudal
Come on, keep on going.
society. Oh, at a certain stage of the development of these means of production and of exchange, the conditions under which feudal society my phone's gonna die. Produced and exchanged the feudal organization of agriculture and manufacturing industry. In own world, the feudal relations of property became no longer compatible with the already developed productive forces. They became so many fetters. They had two will be boast and asunder. They will burst asunder. I don't know where it is. Into their place stepped free competition, accompanied by a social and political constitution adapted in it, and the economic and political sway of the bourgeois class. A similar movement is going on before our own eyes. Modern bourgeois society, with its relations of production, of exchange, and of property, a society that has conjured up such gigantic means of production and of exchange, is like the sorcerer who is no longer able to control the powers of the nether world, whom he has called up by his spells. For many a decade past, the history of industry and commerce is but the history of the revolt of modern productivity forces against modern conditions of production, against the property relations that are the conditions for the existence of the bourgeois and of its will. It is enough to mention the commercial class that, by their periodical return, put the existence of the entire bourgeois society on its trail, each time more threateningly in these crises. There's so many serious words in here that are not serious. A great part not only of the existing products, but also of the previously created productive forces are periodic. Periodic. What? Periodically, whatever, destroyed. In these crises, there breaks out an epidemic that in all earlier epochs would have seemed an absurdity, the epidemic of overproduction. Society suddenly finds itself put back into a state of momentary barbarism. It appears as if a famine, a universal wall of devastation, had cut off the supply of every means of subsistence. Industry and commercial. God, I'm running out of air. Commerce seem to be destroyed. And why? Because there is too much civilization, too much means of subsistence, too much industry, too much commerce. The productive forces at the disposal of society no longer tend to further the development of the conditions of bourgeois property. On the contrary, they have become too powerful for these conditions, by which they are fettered, and so soon as they overcome these fetters, they bring disorder into the whole of bourgeois society, endanger the existence of bourgeois property. The conditions of bourgeois society are too narrow to comprise the wealth created by them. And how does the bourgeoisie get over the crisis? On the one hand, by enforced destruction of a mass of productive forces, on the other, by the conquest of new markets, and by the more thorough exploitation of the old ones. That is to say, by paving 10%. By paving the way for more extensive and more destructive crises, and by diminishing the means whereby crises are prevented. I have to swap out my headphones real quick. The weapons with which the bourgeoisie fell feudalism to the ground are now turned against the bourgeoisie itself. But not only has the bourgeoisie forged the weapons that bring death to itself, it has also called into existence the men who are to wield those weapons. The modern working class, the politicians. 1 second. In pop. Oh.
I've been expecting you. Your phone doesn't need to be charged if you can last on 1%.
It's at 10%.
Mine lasted on 1%
Well,
longer.